I love working out. My friends and I love working out. Looking good has never felt so great. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about anything and everything that comes out of the crapshoot. I'm your host, JD. This is my co-host.
That was JD, you were on key.
James. I call him James. Everyone else calls him Jimmy. Just works like that.
It's a little interesting.
A lot of things have happened this week, James.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
That was, well, I don't know if you've heard, but I want to talk about this just right off the bat.
Oh, are you singing Ben Shapiro's verse in the Tom McDonald rap?
No, the boys are back. And by the boys, I mean Supermega.
Oh,
our favorite
cool.
two guys. our videos that have been the most popular on the episodes of the crapshoot.
JD, I'm gonna level with you. Yeah. You said that, and I internally felt nothing change.
Supermega's back.
I felt nothing.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's been what I think.
I don't want to like joke around. I'm being so genuine. You said that, and I went, "Oh, cool." Nothing happened. Yeah, I mean, genuinely didn't feel excited or disappointed.
Well, I know you're not a big Supermega guy, and I'm like a semi-casual viewer of them. I don't watch like every episode, but I do like their skits and stuff.
Genuinely the most moderate reaction I've ever had to anything.
I do like their skits and stuff, and then I just saw my feed like a few days ago that a new video popped up on the channel. I was like, whoa, they're back. So I looked at it, and it's a new music video. That's what that song I just sang was from. It's called "I Love Working Out." That probably has like the worst lyrics I've ever seen in a song, but it's just catchy. It just works.
Huh.
Yeah, and you should watch the music video. It's pretty funny.
I will. I definitely will.
Anyway, though, they're back. If you remember, they went on an indefinite hiatus like 6 months ago ish. Yeah. So that's what happened. It was because of a lot of allegations, drama that happened.
Allegations.
Well, I mean, yeah, allegations. So
allegations.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to talk about this because I recently saw another video about Supermega after I saw their video pop up. I watched it. They had two new videos actually. One was that music video, and the other one was like I don't know who it is, but they just got like some random old man to like narrate the return of Supermega. I don't know who it is, but they just got someone for it. And then another video popped up in my feed, and it was from Turkey Tom. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Well, apparently it's just another YouTuber.
VTuber. That's right. VTuber.
I mean, oh, my dog just opened my door and entered my room. Give me a second. I'm gonna go close that real quick. How you doing, buddy? Get out of my room. Choke you. So anyway, yeah, Turkey Tom. I mean, he uses like a drawn character in that video to like talk through, but I don't think it's like on the level of VTubing. You still there, James?
No, that's a VTuber. Yeah, I'm here, man.
Okay, go on. You talk about something while I go close my door.
So JD really likes guys who are controversial because he knows that it's gonna get us views, but I gotta say,
what were we talking about?
I didn't feel a fucking thing. Like genuinely, when Smosh came back together, I was like, fuck yeah, that's pretty cool. I was a little excited. I wasn't like, like over the moon or anything, but I was a little excited, like when stuff like that happens, I'm usually like pumped. Like I'm like, oh, that's cool for him. JD told me Supermega's coming back, and I genuinely looked into the abyss, and I just didn't fucking feel anything. There was no fear, there was no terror, but there was no joy, there was no excitement. You told me that, and I had the same reaction as when I thought my mom might die. And that's a discussion for something else.
Well, I mean, I don't think your emotions are that strong. I mean, like, come on now, you don't even know Supermega, right? But also me, I don't know them like personally. Anyway, though, I saw another video pop up in my feed. Turkey Tom and the video was 2.5 hours long. And it's titled "The False Allegations Against Supermega."
Mhm.
it's actually pretty popular. It's like a 1.3 million views on it, and it was from
Whoa.
4 months ago, which was, I think, I never saw it until like a few days ago. So like when we learned about like the super mega things that were going on, right, like 6 months ago, it wasn't like, apparently it wasn't like all of it, all of like the things that they were like accused of
Mhm.
by like this select group of people. And also we were there like pretty much at the start, right, where we
Yeah,
saw
day
it,
one.
and then I think we watched the responses for it, like Super Mega's
I
responses.
didn't watch Matt's. Was it Matt or Ryan who had like the insanely long
It
one?
was Matt that had the really long one.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one because I was
Yeah,
like, I just don't have the time for it.
yeah,
Like, I literally
that's
do not
that's
have the time for a
that's
video
fair
that's
enough.
like over an hour long.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Uh, anyway though, yeah. So their responses came out, and we took like a brief look at it, and we concluded that yeah, they messed up, and then they went on hiatus. I think I said something like, I don't. The allegations were that they covered up SA. That's what it was, sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to call it SA. We're not going to get demonetized because we're not monetized anyway.
Yeah, really good thing you didn't say the word sexual assault and
Yeah,
explaining what SA meant.
yeah. Thank God I didn't say sexual assault.
Let me say the words my workers say. Maybe that'll help us.
Well, what do they say? Being based?
It starts with the letter F.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I watched this 2.5 hour long video. I just put it on the background kind of and just played Helldivers 2 while also listening
Must
to
be
it.
nice.
And it is nice. It's a great game. I love the game.
Must be nice.
Yeah, so it was from 4 months ago, and that was a while after their Super Mega's responses came out. And judging from the title of the video, you would think like, oh yeah, this guy's like a big Super Mega head, and he wants to defend his boys, right? So I watched the
Mm-hmm.
video. I'm like, okay, well, how could it possibly be, false and stuff? And then it turns out it's apparently there's like a conspiracy against Super Mega. That's what they called it in the video. There's a conspiracy against Super Mega, and a lot of things happened that don't add up, I guess. And so, conclusion, TLDR, if you didn't want to listen to the rest of the podcast,
I didn't.
I kind of believe that that
Sorry.
all of the allegations are wrong. Right. So to whatever Matt and Ryan apologized for in their responses, like that actually happened, but everything else was basically just made up or exaggerated. And I'll go through that right now. So how much do you know? Do you remember of the situation like 6 months ago?
Dude, I don't fucking I remember that they had an employee and that like Matt was always drunk or something. She was being like one of the other employee guys who wasn't an employee yet, but then he became an employee. He was like being very predatory towards her, and they weren't doing anything about it, especially when they hired him. And then like they were suggesting she marries him or something.
I
Like I remember
well, it was
very
a long time
thin.
ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
I don't blame
dude,
you.
I
So
have not I've not
I
fucking
know.
re-equipped myself
You're
on
not a
the.
big. I know you don't watch Super Mega, so
I
all of you heard of it is just
I
from me.
haven't. No, I also like what I've watched stuff on my own. Like
I
I
mean, there's
liked
some of their
their.
skits that you probably watched. Yeah,
I've watched their like Papers Please series because I really like Papers Please, but like I haven't done like deep dives on like any of them or anything,
I see.
or like I
Okay,
haven't like super dedicated myself to a lot of their
I wrote down
content or
some
anything.
notes about this timeline, and I kind of want to just summarize it real quick. I might get some things wrong here because
Mm-hmm.
I was just listening like in one ear, sort of, while paying attention to something else, and then jotted some notes down here and there about what happened. But basically, I'll just recap the whole situation, and you can tune out, James, since this episode is going to be mostly me talking to
Okay.
you guys, the listeners, or whoever else is going to watch the video. My family, apparently. So,
Seriously?
my mother. Yes. She saw she saw that Jollibee video that I posted.
Yeah, did she have any comments?
I think she criticized me for making the video too long. She's like, you need to cut it down shorter, like 10 minutes. Like nobody wants to watch like 30 minutes of whatever. And then you saying that to me earlier, like, oh, I don't have the time to watch like an hour long video. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I should probably just cut out.
But also, we're making a podcast. The specials are just,
well, I mean, the podcasts are different. That's meant to be like, long, and you just play it in the background or something. Anyway, back to the situation. So, it starts with a person named Lex.
I don't know why. Doesn't even matter how hard I try.
It starts with a person named Lex. That was I don't know if she actually was an employee of Supermega.
She was an employee,
I think it was a friend. I think she was like a friend of them. I think they might have commissioned some art from her, maybe once or twice. I'm not sure exactly, but she's basically like an artist. And I think she's also like an OnlyFans model or something. I think it was like that. Mostly artist. Okay. And this person, Lex, came out with a video that accused Supermega of a lot of things. But the most important one was, actually, I wrote down 6 things that she accused them of in my notes. First off, their employee, Dawn, who was the channel artist name is Dawn. Okay. Dawn SA'd her. That is not up for contention, I don't think. I think that was basically true. And everyone, I believe her, and everyone else I think believes her too. So that first claim, Dawn SA'd her, that happened. And then Supermega covered up the essay. That was the second claim. There was another claim in her video where Supermega made her homeless after all these things happened. And then a few other things that are mostly just personal things.
Right, because she was living with them, right? At their house where they were like recording the videos and stuff.
She was living at the Supermegaplex, which was their office.
That is wow, Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry, after hearing Pizzaplex so many times in
it's ruined
words,
you.
it's just,
you've been ruined by FNAF security breach.
It's genuinely brain rot.
A bunch of other stuff that I don't think is as important as the essay or like the covering up of the essay. Stuff like personal stuff like cheating on their girlfriends, or cheating on their girlfriends. I think that might have been. There's a couple of other small things I don't remember from the video. That was the main big side tangent. Also talking about their friend Daniel from Syndigo, where they joked about his death. Those were those accusations.
I like vaguely remember that.
You vaguely remember? Yeah, that was a point too in there, and that was about. I really summarized the whole video. It was a long video. So there's a bunch of like other things that she talks about, but I want to get like this timeline down for Lex's video on Lex's side. So let me paint this picture for you. So the timeline from Lex's side, Lex being the victim, in November of 2021 is when the essay happened. Okay, so I think Dawn and Lex met up. I think they went over to Dawn's house, and then he essayed her, basically. That was the situation. That happened in November 2021. Then, about mid-November, that same November, they met up again in LA. So I'm not sure exactly when that first essay incident happened, but it happened somewhere. They split, they went separate ways. I think she went back to her home in Tennessee. And then mid-November, they came back to LA, where they both like met up again in LA. And Lex visits LA a lot because that's where a lot of her friends are, like, Supermega and some other people that are also like conspirators in this in this incident. So in February 2022, so like, few months later, February 2022, Lex visits LA again to celebrate Matt's birthday. That happened. And then like fast forward another like couple months, April 2022. She planned to share an Airbnb with some of her friends in Florida, not in LA. And those friends are someone named Ethan and then Don again. So the thing,
I'm going to assume Ethan is that Crank Games, Ethan?
No, it's not Crank Games, Ethan. It's just some other Ethan, another like Twitter artist. A lot of these artists on like they have like their own kind of social group. So they're all kind of like in a similar vein. You know, Don's like an artist, Lex is an artist, and Ethan was also an artist.
All right.
So yeah, they share together. They go to Florida, and Lex plans to break up with Don in Florida when they were going to go to that when they're going to meet up in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you might like ask like why she's still like in this relationship if like for all these months and stuff. I think the reasoning that I heard was that SA victims don't tend to realize that they've been SA'd until like a long time after. So
yeah,
I believe it. I mean, I've never dealt with an SA victim or SA in general, so I'll just take the word of other people who do have that kind of experience dealing with it. So anyway, they meet up in Florida, and then Lex breaks up with Don in Florida. But before this, she didn't tell anyone about the SA because obviously she didn't want anyone to know, right? So from November 2021 to April now, no one knows, basically. No one knows. And in May 16th, they stay in Florida for a while, I think. And in on May 16th, Ethan like asks about like Dawn, like if she wants to like stay with Dawn at a place or something. And so she's like, I don't want to, but I have to explain to him why I don't want to. So she tells Ethan about the incident. Right. And Ethan is now her current boyfriend, I think. Ethan is now her current boyfriend. So you can keep that in the back of your mind.
Ethan is online.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I know who that is. Yeah, I know who that is. He does like he's a YouTuber. He does like commentary stuff on things.
Oh, I don't know who he is.
He hasn't posted in a while though. Him.
All I know about him is he's the current boyfriend of Lex. And that was it.
He's boyfriends with who?
And he's also an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay, sorry. Yeah. That took me a second, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot.
I didn't expect you to know him actually. Huh?
I used to watch his videos. I don't think he's uploaded in a while though. This could be part of why.
This is probably part of why. And I'll explain. You'll figure it out later. So anyway, yes, she tells Ethan. And she also tells him she doesn't want anyone to know about it, right? Like keep it a secret, private. It's a bad thing if it goes public and all of a sudden, you know, lots of things could happen. So then she breaks up with Dawn in Florida and she goes back to Tennessee. Later, she goes to Creator Clash in LA again. I don't know when Creator Clash 2022 happened, but whenever it happened, she went to LA because, you know, Matt, Supermega was at Creator Clash. They were like boxing and stuff. They're going to box. Right. So she goes over there to like party, to like hang out with the boys. And then she figures out Dawn is living with Matt at his apartment during like this time, Creator Clash. So Dawn is living with Matt in his apartment right now. May 25th, so like a week and a half later, Lex goes to Northern California, and there she meets Rav and becomes friends with him. And Rav is also a friend of Supermega. And he's like a rapper, I think. He's like a rapper. See, he was like touring around and he didn't have like a place to hang out with. And then so she meets up with Rav, they become friends. And then she finds out Dawn is in LA. So then she has to tell Ryan and Matt about this incident that happened with Dawn because she has no place to like stay when she's in LA. So she has to stay. She wants to stay with Matt and Ryan, right? Because they've offered to like, you know, house them or house their friends and bunch, you know, before. So she wants to live with Matt and Ryan, but Dawn is also living with them, right? So she's like, I gotta tell Matt and Ryan about this. So she tells Ryan and Matt. like I think it starts like over text. So she texts Ryan, and then Ryan like is on her side, like at the start. He's like, oh man, that's like terrible and stuff. And then he asks a couple questions about the incident, like, you know, what happened exactly, like between you guys. Because obviously, you know, you want to be a little bit, was it? You want to be like a little more gentle with a situation like this, especially if it's like between two of your friends, which you know, that is already kind of complicated. So he questions her about it, and then she didn't like that very much. Then Matt takes a while to respond. I think 2 days. He didn't respond immediately. It takes 2 days to respond, and then he replies to her. And this reply was pretty not great in her eyes, because he asks her what Supermega should do with Don now, like if they should just fire him or something. And she's like, I don't know. I just wanted to let you know I don't want to be like around Don and stuff. So it comes across like he's more worried about Supermega as a business rather than her. And well, it is kind of like that. It did come across like that. That was one of like the bad things I think was that did happen. But so then after she tells them, Matt and Ryan, like a few days later, they talk to Don, and then Don tells like his recollection, his side of the story about this incident. Do you want to know about the incident, or like what exactly happened?
I mean,
Do you remember it or no?
Kinda. So I guess yeah.
Okay, so I'll just say it then. Okay, so this essay incident, it was when they went back to Don's house. I think he forced her to have oral sex with him. That was the incident. So Don tells it out like his side of the story. It sounds like just like a bad bedroom incident, just like awkward. Didn't really know what was going on. Like wanted to get frisky, but you know, messed up kind of way. So Matt and Ryan listen to this, and then they take a little bit longer to try and like process what they should do in this situation. And then they come to the conclusion that they need to talk it out. Like they think Don and Lex just have like had like a bad experience, and it was like a personal matter between two people. So they're like, you guys just need to figure it out. Because I think when Lex told Ryan and Matt before, it was more like she didn't just say like, oh, he just forced me for oral sex. She was like kind of, you know, not like vague about it. So they didn't take it like as seriously as you would normally take it, or take like a incident like that. So they say they need to talk it out. It's like a personal thing. And then what happens is Lex goes to LA, and then Matt moves Don from his apartment to the Super Megaplex. And then Lex, when she goes to LA, goes to the Super Megaplex and meets Don at the Super Megaplex accidentally. Right? So they don't know each other. Lex doesn't know Don is there, and Don doesn't know Lex is going to be there. But Matt knew about it. And then so there's an incident where like she hides in the bathroom to get away from Don while he's at the Super Megaplex. And then shortly after, Matt tells Don to, you know, get out of there. So that incident happened. And then a while later, Don leaves, flies back to Germany, and is fired from Supermega right after he gets to Germany. And there was no reason given, no public reason given why Don was fired. June 14th. So a little later on, June 14th, Lex is like fully moves into the Super Megaplex. Ryan's birthday happens, and she finds out that her friend and Super Mega's merch handler employee Leighton was not at Ryan's birthday party, and that was because he was fired for whatever reason. But at first, it wasn't like a whole he was fired kind of thing. It was like he left Super Mega, and then they made a tweet like, "Oh, we'll miss our dude. Go check him out over here. He's going to be like doing his own thing." So they publicly they left on good terms, right? But Leighton wasn't at the party. So the reason why Leighton is brought up is because Lex is really good friends with Leighton, and has been for like a while, and he like 100% believes her about the essay, like never questioned it, never did anything. He was just on her side the whole time, so that's why he's like important to this. And the reason why Lex thought he was fired was because she thought that Supermega like didn't believe her with the essay, and Leighton being so like on her side, they thought like he was gonna like mess things up, so they fired him. So she thought the reason Supermega fired Leighton was because of because he was on her side for the essay. Now, when she moves into the Super Megaplex, this was supposed to be like temporary, just like a temporary stay while she tries to find her own like housing situation. Because she wants to move to LA from Tennessee, I think. She wants to move to LA and just like stay there. But she didn't find a house, so this is a temporary stay. July 4th, next month, July 4th, Lex has a cookout party on July 4th, because I think it's what? Independent. Oh. Well, James just completely left the call, but I'll just continue on. So, Lex has a cookout party, and then it was with Matt, Rav, and Jim. And Jim is one of the newer Super Mega employees. And Lex also claims that Jim essayed her at this party by kissing her without her consent. That happens. And then early next day, like really early next day, they all go to Matt's house, where Jim falls asleep. Or I don't think Rav is there actually. So Lex, Matt, and Jim go to Matt's house. Jim falls asleep, and then they talk. Lex and Matt talk about the living situation, her like housing situation, what they should do. And he offers her a separate place to stay for like several months. And then she says no. And she also states she thinks it's a bribe to like keep her quiet about the Dawn situation. So that's why she's declined it. The next day, Lex and Rav go back to Tennessee to celebrate her mother's birthday. They buy a Jeep, I think, and they go on a road trip, and it lasts until around the end of the month, end of July, and a little bit, this bleeds a little bit into August. And on August 9th, Jim creates a group chat with Matt, Lex, and Rav in it, and he asks when Lex and Rav will move out. Remember that in June they moved in to the Super Megaplex. It was supposed to be temporary, and now it's August, and he asks them when they will move out. They get kicked out, and then Lex says, makes the claim that now they're homeless, they're stuck in LA. They just have a Jeep basically, and so they leave California, and then they were robbed in like Portland, and they came back to LA. And oh, hey, welcome back, James.
I had a blackout.
Okay. You black. Oh, right, because it's like storming out a little bit. Oh, wait, hold on. Give me a second while I turn on my lights. It's getting dark.
Yeah, every light within my house and my computer, everything turned off completely, and just had a fucking full-on hard shutdown. Took like a minute for it to come back on.
Yeah. Okay. I just kept going on with the story, but I'll do a quick recap for you. You didn't miss that much. So where was I? Right, they were temporarily at the
Back
Super
in
Megaplex. So July 4th, Lex has a cookout party with Matt, Rav, and Jim. And Jim is the newest Super Mega employee. And then Lex claims Jim essayed her at this party by kissing her without her consent. So that happens at this party. Then early next day.
Oh, wait, that does happen, or
this one is well, obviously with essay instance, there's not like hard evidence for most of it. So it's mostly a he said, she said, whether or not you believe one or the other. You could or not. So she says like he just essayed her by like he leaned in, he grabs, he just like kisses her without any warning, right? And then Jim, I
Right.
think Jim made a video and he said, no, the kiss was consensual. I asked her, like, is it okay if I kiss you? And then she said yes, so I just did it. But so it's whoever you believe, really, because there's no hard proof for either of the sides. I'll believe her on this side. So let's say, yeah, that was messed up. So yeah, that happened at this party. Early next day, Lex goes to Matt's house with Jim, and then Jim falls asleep. So Matt and Lex kind of talk about her living situation at the Super Megaplex. And then she claims that they don't talk about the Dawn situation at all. And this is the first time they talk to each other, I think, face to face since. She says this is the first time they talk to each other face to face since the what was it? Since the incident where when she came back and moved into the Super Megaplex. So like for about like half a month, she moved into the Super Megaplex, and they never really talk one on one until now. So they talk about the housing situation, and then Matt offers a separate place for Lex to stay for several months. So like at least 10K ish was like the amount, because LA housing is really, really expensive. So Lex says no, because she thinks it's a bribe to keep her from like spilling the beans that they cover up the SA incident. So she thinks it's a bribe, so she declines it. Then the next day, Lex and Rav go to Tennessee. Want to go to Tennessee to celebrate her mother's birthday, so they buy a Jeep and they go on a road trip, basically. And this road trip lasts until the end of the month, and it bleeds a little bit over into the next month too. So in August 9th, so July 6th they go. August 9th, Jim creates a group chat with Matt, Lex, and Rav in it, and he asks Lex and Rav when they will move out from the Super Megaplex. Then Lex says they get kicked out of the Super Megaplex, like shortly after this happened. And this is where the claim where Super Mega made her homeless came from, because now she doesn't have like a place to stay. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So she also claims they just abandoned them at this point. They said, get out of the place. You can't stay here anymore. So now they just have a Jeep. They leave California. They say they leave California, and then they get robbed in Portland, and they come back to LA, and they sleep in the Jeep for I think she says like a week or something, and they get a motel in Pasadena then after that. And I think that's where she films her video in. She's at the motel in Pasadena. So yeah, that happens. While they're in the motel, I think she texts Super Mega, reaches out to them to confront them about like the whole situation. And she claims that they never tried to like talk to her or like figure things out about her situation or anything about that. That's where like the whole like they don't care about her and they just like left her out to die, basically. So then she says that they basically stopped being her friend after the Dawn. She told them about the Dawn situation thing. And then she criticizes them about not talking about the Dawn situation publicly. Now, Lex wanted Super Mega to make a public statement about Dawn, like tell everyone why you fired Dawn, and like he's like an essayer, and then because she wants to make everyone see, to show them that Super Mega just like try to cover this whole thing up, right?
Right.
So then she goes back to the she realizes that a lot of their stuff they left at the Super Megaplex because they said they were kicked out, right? They were just kicked out on short notice. A lot of their stuff is still at the Super Megaplex. So they try to go back to the office multiple times over like the next couple of weeks to get their stuff. And she says that they basically just ghosted her. And so they didn't let her like get her stuff back. So it took a while to try like grab all their stuff from the office. Then she talks with Leighton to help her get stuff back from the office. And I think at this point, Leighton is still working for Supermega, by the way. I think at this point, Leighton is still working for Supermega, so he has access to the office. But then they don't tell anyone, right? So it's just Lex and Leighton, and they go to the office, and they show up, and then Matt's there, and it's unannounced, and Matt doesn't know that they're here to get anything. So they have like a weird interaction with Matt there. I don't think it's anything like terrible. They just have like a, whoa, hey, there's the guy who's, you know, I don't like because of all these things that he's done. So then they get their stuff, they put it in a storage locker, and then they stay in Airbnb in Hollywood until they can afford to go home, which is back to Tennessee, I think. Then, so that was August. That was like over the course of August. October 2022, she drives back home to Tennessee, and she blames Matt for not being able to move to LA, right? So that, I think, was the whole timeline on Lex's side. That's when she like made her video. She went back to Tennessee, and all of these experiences, you know, were not very good. Then now we could talk about what Don said. So after this video came out, Don made a statement. He said that he was a bedroom misunderstanding, and what he did was he asked for oral multiple times, and she said no. But then he just kept asking, and eventually she gave up and just said yes. And then while that happened, he like pushed on her head, and it was just like an awkward fling interaction. That's what he said. That wasn't received very well. So he's basically,
obviously, fucking Christ.
That wasn't received well. Yeah, so now
that really is gonna clear it up and make you seem like a good guy.
He's gone now. I don't think he's not doing like public. He's not in the internet space anymore.
Real quick. Yeah. That's literally so like this is on topic. I'm not going to derail us, but Smosh, they had two people that I very definitively remember got fired for something so very similar to this. It was on the Smosh Games channel. It was one of them was named Wes, and this exact situation he did to a person, and then continued to claim no. I kept asking them to do it, and even though they kept saying no, they eventually said yes. Yeah. And then I forcibly did it still. And it's like, yeah, but it's also they clearly didn't want it, said yes because you would not leave them alone. And then when they did do it, you still forced it in a way.
I don't think we have to feel bad for Don here, because it turns out later on
it's so like eerily similar to that, where it's like the explanation you gave was so horrible that it made worse. I shouldn't say worse. Like it just affirmed it's just bad. That like even more. Like you did not help yourself. You actually dug the hole the same size right next to it.
Yeah, so it didn't work. He's no longer in the internet space, I think. So anyway, let's move back to, so guaranteed Don essayed Lex. That was, bad thing happened there. And then Supermega handled it pretty poorly. Lex is, during her video, she also accuses Matt of cheating on his current girlfriend, multiple times with his ex-girlfriend and someone named Morgue Pie. Do you know who Morgue Pie is?
Maybe?
It was the girl that I used in our thumbnail when we were talking about Twitch's like sex policy, their like revamp of the sexual policy. The topless one. So she was the one who first like went on stream and just showed like slightly below shoulder level up. Yeah. So it seemed like she wasn't wearing a shirt. It was her. That was the girl that Matt cheated on with his girlfriend, accused of cheating on with his girlfriend. Right. What actually did happen is Matt did in fact like sleep with Morgue Pie. But it wasn't during the time when he was in a relationship. So,
okay.
Yeah, so the timeline was that his ex-girlfriend, Zeph, was just her like handle. Zeph, he had an ex-girlfriend. He broke up with Zeph, and then he And then later, and then like some time passes, he sleeps with Mark Pie, and then some time passes, he gets his current girlfriend. So that was the actual timeline of what happened.
So could it be that I'm just like giving it because like I just got back in the conversation, so I'm trying to like engage with it again.
Yeah, if you got questions, you
So-
can ask me.
Is it maybe that Lex like genuinely didn't know he was out of the relationship or something? Because like was this during one of
That
the
might
rough
have been it.
patches between them, like where they weren't talking because of the situation?
So I think she like
'Cause,
came
like-
to this conclusion because he saw like he saw Matt hanging out with Zeph and Jim like like a lot. So I think she just assumed that he was just cheating on his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there is like textual proof, and also between Zeph and his current girlfriend, both of them like cleared up the situation. And the only person who like agreed with these accusations was Morgpie. And it turns out that Morgpie, like when he slept with Morgpie, she kind of like developed feelings for him, but he made it clear that this was just like going to be like a one night stand kind of thing. So he didn't want to like get in a relationship with her, and then she, didn't like that. So anyway, and then accusations that Ryan sexts his fans was brought up. Those accusations were brought up here. I have to make it clear, it's not underage fans, it's just fans in general.
Right. Which I want to
Not
make clear,
underage
by the way.
fans.
I do think it's still weird.
It is still weird.
I think it's definitely a power like
Yeah.
imbalance, and it makes it a very weird situation.
It's
I didn't like when
Yeah.
Dan got called out for this. He said,
Mhm.
"Yes, I do have sex with fans sometimes," and I was like, "That's weird on its own."
mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, but it's technically not illegal. It's
It's not
morally,
illegal.
it's morally
just,
strange.
It's
Yeah.
morally wrong
Yeah.
for the situation of it's a power imbalance, which is like the whole reason of like why it's always morally wrong when a boss and a subordinate have a relationship, no
like
matter
a
what
boss,
the kind of
a boss
relationship
and an
is.
employee having a
It's why that's always a morally weird situation.
So
Relationship, even if it's consensual.
that accusation brought up. It turns out that was true, and then he apologizes for it in his response. But that did actually happen. So
Okay.
we'll leave it at that. March 22nd, 2023, Leighton leaves Supermega on amicable terms publicly. Then, April 15th, Creator Clash 2 happens, and Supermega is in Creator Clash 2. While they were hosted to sing the national anthem at the Creator Clash 2, and after they sang it, they did a bit where they turned to each other and they kissed each other like on the lips after they sing it. Just one of their bits that they do. But then Leighton calls them out on Twitter for being homophobic. I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
This was one of the claims against.
It's queer. It's queer baiting. It's a thing that a lot of straight or even bisexual, but not actually in a relationship with another, like two guy YouTuber groups tend to do very often.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that I question whenever Smosh does it, because it is very clearly playing on the fact that your audience is obsessed with the idea of you two being in a relationship with each other and just playing on that for the attention of it. Then there's there is a closeness and friendship and whatnot. But I do think I do have a problem with whenever people like this queer bait. So I'm not calling it homophobic, but it is definitely playing on the queer community for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not part of the queer community, so I'll just take your word for it then.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Bitch.
Okay, I don't think they're homophobic, honestly. As far as I
I'm
remember,
not
they've been
saying that.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, I'm not saying that.
As far as I remember, they do bits like this for a really long time. So I didn't think anything more of it when they just kiss each other on the anthem. So anyway, they do that, and then Leighton makes a call out post on Twitter. Sorry, X. Or no, it was called Twitter at the time.
Dude, get your shit right, dude. You're falling off.
And then he says a bunch of other things, like he was an excuse for them to make gay jokes, or and then he also said an incident. He listed an incident where a young Supermega fan attempted suicide because he was being bullied for being gay. right? And Leighton tried to get him a signed book from Supermega, and they didn't take it seriously, and they joked about the situation, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember that, but that was in this
I
call
do.
out post.
We talked about it, but I don't remember
Yes.
what we concluded on it with.
Well,
So
there was two sides to it. So Leighton says this, and then Supermega makes a reply to it, like they respond to it, and they said that first of all, Leighton was comfortable with the gay jokes. They talked to him about it like many times to make sure like these kinds of jokes are okay and the boundary line is set there. They said Leighton participated in a lot of the jokes and he kind of like started it first, so they thought it was okay. Then with this book incident, they said they were asked by Leighton's friend for a signed book for someone, and then they for like a young boy, and they were just like, and they just said yes immediately. They're like, oh, okay. So they sign a book, and then they asked them like, okay, so like who is this guy? Like, who's the kid? Who should we send it to? And it turns out that the boy that they wanted to send it to didn't know Supermega. They were not Supermega fans. They didn't know Supermega. So then Matt and Ryan, they like questioned whether it was appropriate for them to send a signed book to someone who's in a situation like that when they're also not like a Supermega fan or anything.
right.
So in my mind, that kind of made sense. It was like you just don't want to like, what was it like? I don't know the term to use there, but it's just like not appropriate, right?
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they said the situation was, and then Leighton says the other situation happened. So I think when it first was made, I think most people just believed Supermega because it's a he said she said. Later on, like more people just believe Supermega because it turns out Leighton just kind of lies about everything else. So if he lies about everything else, then he lies about this kind of line of reasoning. Anyway, so now Leighton makes his video. After Lex's video came out, Leighton makes a video accusing Supermega of a bunch of random stuff, right? Or a bunch of bad stuff. He says it's a toxic workplace. They have, terrible humor, and they were saying slurs. They were saying slurs in the workplace. He mentions he has some mental problems. I think he says he has bipolar disorder 1. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, bipolar disorder 1. And he has borderline personality disorder. And he reminds me a lot of you, James, actually, where he says,
I'll kill you, I'll kill you dead.
He's always paranoid that everyone around him hates him.
But JD, you say this like it's not valid for me though. Like,
well, I mean, in your case, it's actually kind of true. But especially when especially in your workplace, yeah, it's kind of true. But
I'm valid for these thoughts I have. Okay, but it's not my fault.
Do you have BPD-1 and bipolar disorder, personality disorder?
I don't know about that, but I definitely fucking am paranoid. Jesus.
Because if you do, then I'd feel bad joking about that without knowing it. But I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm giving the okay
ignorant.
if it is. If it is the case, then
I'm giving it. I'm becoming ignorant about it right now. So anyway,
I know you are.
He also claims that they make jokes about Daniel's suicide. Now, this actually wasn't the first claim. In Lex's video, she also brings up that they make jokes about Daniel's suicide. So he just like reclaims it. And then he says there was a couple of the bits that they do around the office make him uncomfortable, and it were basically harassing him, right? Where I think they would actually do this in the office, by the way. They would just like get naked pretty much, and they would just show each other their dick and balls as like a joke. So naked jokes. I'm
gonna be so honest with you.
Yeah.
That has like 100% happened at my workplace.
What?
I am so sure it has. Some stuff happened while I was gone that I learned recently, JD.
Well, yeah, so that's basically, I mean, if you work for Supermega and if you've seen their videos, any of their skits or the music videos,
not justifying them doing it. That is not
100% believe I 100% believe this actually happens, where they just like they're like doing a podcast or something in a different room, and then one of their employees comes in through the door and he's just like butt naked, and they're like, oh, dick and balls right there. So he claims, yeah, that happened a lot and it made him uncomfortable. And then there was an incident that was pretty bad. At least I thought it was pretty bad from how he described it. In a drunk Simpsons drawing episode. Simpsons. Yes.
Simpsons.
So there was an incident after their drunk video recording. Leighton goes to the bathroom and he's peeing, and then Matt comes in and starts filming him like peeing for like a bit or something. Okay. And so that sounded pretty bad to me. I felt like that crossed the line. Anyway, after that incident, Justin tells him that Matt and Ryan are looking for like any reason to fire him. And then when he does get fired, they tell him that if he doesn't sign an NDA, they wouldn't give him a severance package that they owed him. And do you know what a severance package is?
I think I do.
I'll explain it real quick.
Yeah.
So a severance package is like a payment out to an employee who's worked at the company for a while. And it's still, yeah, it's just a payment of money. And and normally it's, I think, 1 month of pay per year that the employee has worked at the company. So yeah, that's a severance package. So they said they wouldn't give it to him if he didn't sign an NDA to not talk about what he's seen at the office, basically. And then he says Supermega's lawyer threatens him that whenever he talks with his friends about Supermega, he threatens him with the lawyer threatens him with the NDA. Then he basically supports Lex's story. He reiterates Matt cheats, and then Ryan sex fans, and then Supermega goes downhill. Like here, this is where it like actually blows up, right? Because before the focus was on Dawn, right? Like everyone hates Dawn, basically, and Supermega, it was like a on the fence whether or not he actually covered up, or they actually covered up or not. But they were still like, everyone was on the edge, and then this stream came out, and then it blows up basically. Then Jim makes his video where he claims that like on that night of the party, like everything was consensual. He asked, 100% asked. She said yes, and then they hooked up. That wasn't received well because it was right after this Leighton stream, so that wasn't received well. Nick.
So the her and Jim thing was.
We don't know. I don't think anyone knows really. Okay. This is a whether or not you believe Jim or believe Lex, and you can make the call. You, the audience, can make the call on that. After you hear, or maybe you should watch the Turkey Tom video, by the way. You shouldn't watch me doing it. I'm just doing a recap of it. So Nick, a new person, Nick, he has a channel called Nick is Not Green, I think. Or Green is not Nick.
Nick is not green.
Nick is not green. Green is not Nick.
And then
I think both of them are him, actually. Nick is friends with Lex and Ethan, and he makes a video about Supermega.
I also used to watch Nick.
I think I've seen a couple of his videos, but I'm not.
He had some good videos. Him and Jordan Attica had some very funny
I recognize
videos where they would talk about Jordan Peterson and make fun of his voice.
Yeah, I recognize him. Yeah, I recognize him. So he's friends with Lex and Ethan, and he makes a video about Supermega right after this stream comes out. That basically, shits on Supermega, tells them like they're horrible people. They covered it up. All the allegations are true, and a lot of character, like he just makes fun of them a lot, right? So this video comes out right after. Then Ethan has a stream where he has Lex and Ethan in the stream, and they just put up Supermega's sub count, and they just see it, like watch it falling down, and they shit talk Supermega the whole time on this stream because calling him like terrible people and stuff. Like it's just a roast session, a roast session on Supermega. This happens right after. So after Nick's video, Ethan comes out, does this.
That's pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie.
That goes hard.
That's fucking hard. We gotta do that. We gotta find somebody we hate and do that.
This reminds me of something that you would do too. I'm like,
That's
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
awesome.
Like if
Holy
Logan
shit.
Paul like or someone like
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, we gotta find like
has
Logan
that.
Paul and do that shit.
Anyway, after
Fucking
this
wait till
stream
his back
happens,
bump and fucking get him.
after the stream happens, Matt and Ryan respond. Like they make their response videos, and they were received actually pretty well. Because well, first thing they do is they admitted to everything they admitted, which was they handled the situation poorly. They don't claim they covered it up, and they also don't claim that it was a fake story, like Lex like wasn't essayed or something. They said that actually did happen, and they handled it very poorly. They apologized for it. I think Ryan admitted to the whole sexting thing, sexting fans, and he says, it was wrong. I was in a bad mental, whatever the excuse was for it. He addressed that one too, and then they said that everything else was not true, and they'd show like proof of it, text proof of it, of what happens. Yeah. Right. They say in Ryan's video, he says that, the Dawn situation, they wish they handled it faster, but it just took a little longer because Dawn was like their longtime friend, and his side of the story confused them for like a while, but eventually they did fire him. Yeah. Eventually they did like just get rid of him. And I think over that course, it was probably like 2 weeks-ish where like they were told, I think 2 or 3 weeks where they were told about Dawn, and then Dawn was fired. So that around that amount of time it took for them to take action on it. So he's like, yeah, that took way too long. They should have just fired him immediately. Yeah, so those apology videos come out. Then Matt's video has its own timeline, which kind of is different from Lex's timeline. Okay, so it starts at May 19th, 2022.
You gotta love how almost every sentence starts with, okay, so.
May 19th, 2022.
It's like you're prepping yourself for like
I'll remind you,
big sigh, like, okay, so.
At this point in Matt's timeline, we're now in Matt's timeline. So previously that was Lex's story. Now we're in Matt's recount.
We've entered the multiverse.
Yeah. May 19, 2022. This was the time from Lex's side where they went to Florida, and then she breaks up with Dawn. Remember that?
Okay.
She breaks up with Dawn in Florida. So Dawn is in Florida. He calls Matt. Matt gets a call from Dawn. He says he broke up with Lex, and he's stuck in Florida because he has no money. So what happens is Matt buys him a one-way flight from Florida to LA and lets him crash at his own place until he can go back to Germany. And at this point, Matt doesn't know why they broke up. He just knows that his friend Dawn in Florida trapped. He's like, all right, I'll fly you out over here. You can stay with me for, temporarily. Then Rav tells Matt about a situation with Lex, between Lex and Dawn. And in this text that he shows from Rav, they say like, oh, it's not that serious, but there's something going on with Lex and stuff. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll keep in mind of that. And then, so he doesn't realize how serious what happened was, because he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't realize how serious it was until he has a phone call with Lex, like right after that. And then that's where he says he handled like the situation really badly on the phone with Lex, where he like asks her what to do with Dawn and stuff. So he says he didn't handle the phone call very well. And that was true. So yeah, that bad phone call happened. And then he says he was supportive of her still, like before and after the call. And they show a text. He shows a text where he's like, yeah, I support you all the way. Let me know what I can do for you to, help you with the situation that you're in. Right. And actually, I think both Lex and Matt show like the same text, because it's the same text, right? The same text messages. And on Lex's side, when she showed this text where Matt's like being like, oh yeah, I've got you. I cover, like, let me know what I can do for you. She thinks it's like sarcastic and like making fun of her. So I guess, either it was just miscommunicated in a way. So anyway, that text happens. Then he says that they talk to Dawn, and then Dawn tells him that his side of the story. And then then they conclude, okay, I'm gonna let you stay at my house for now, and then they said, you know, they wanted them to kind of talk it out between them personally. I don't think that was a very good idea,
So
but that's
like,
what they ended up
they
with.
forget that they had Lex there too. Like what?
No, Don is living at his house right now, and Lex
Right.
is somewhere else right now. Lex is
Right, but
out
like
of
when they like
country again.
invite him to stay there,
Okay, so what happened was,
do they forget Lex's? Like, am I forgetting a detail of the story,
no,
or do
Lex
they
is in like
just like,
Florida or something at this point.
yeah?
Lex is not in LA. Don is at his house. He flies Don to his house before he knew what Don did.
Oh god.
Yeah. So now he's got Don at his house. And then he gets the call he talks with Lex about what happened. Right. So he figures it out while Don is living with them. So then he says, okay, fine, you can stay at my house for now. After they talk to him, and like he tells them his side of the story, and so they're like, they need a bit of time to process like what to do and how to figure this thing out. So he says, okay, you can stay at my house for now. And then shortly after, he gets really sick of living with Don, because apparently Don's like a terrible roommate or something.
Wouldn't have guessed, but okay.
So Matt gets like really sick of him, and he sends Don away to live at the Super Megaplex, like away from his house, because he just doesn't want him to be at the house anymore. Or he sends him to stay with Rav at the Super Megaplex. Rav is there. And then he forgets that Lex is coming at the same time. This is June 14th. He sends him away. He forgets that Lex is coming June 14th to live at the Super Megaplex. And then he takes full responsibility of the situation where they meet up at the Super Megaplex. He says, yeah, I really fucked up there, and I've got no excuse. So yeah, it was fucked up. It was fucked up. So that happens. And then he denies trying to cover it up. Because after so he sends Don away to the office, and then like a few hours later, they meet up for like a few hours, the encounter. He says a few hours later he remembers, and he tells Don to get the hell out of there like immediately, right when he remembers, but it was a bit too late. So Matt then denies trying to cover up the sexual assault, because he says that the reason they didn't tell anyone why Don was fired was to protect Lex's privacy, because Lex said that she doesn't want to be like public, the SA incident. So they fire Don and keep it under the radar. Right. So that's the reason they said they didn't like make a public announcement about why Don was fired. So then July 4th, cookout party. So in Lex's account of this cookout party, she talks one-on-one with Matt about the housing situation, right? And she says they don't talk about Don at all. But Matt says they had an in-depth discussion about Don at this cookout party. And in this talk, he apologized to Lex, said everything he did was wrong and stuff, and wished he responded better. And he said that she accepted his apology during this talk, right? So he thought Lex, like him and Lex were like on good terms now from like here on out. Then, so obviously after this talk happened, and he's like, okay, we're all good. She accepted the apology. We're all good. Later on, Lex and Rav are still he lets them temporarily stay at the Super Megaplex, and it was only supposed to be for like a few weeks, while they were trying to find like different houses and stuff to live in. So June 14th is when they moved into the Super Megaplex. June 14th. So the month after July. Right. So July, she accepts his apology from Matt's side. She accepts his apology. A month later, he lets them live at the Super Megaplex temporarily. So they stay for a lot longer than a few weeks. I think it was about 3 months ish that they were staying there. So the longer they stayed, like over the weeks and weeks, the more concerned that Matt and Ryan were that they just wouldn't leave like ever. So so this is where like different paths kind of like take place in these stories, because in Lex's video she says that they never talked to her, right? They never talked to her, so she had no idea if there was like an end date of when they could, how long they could stay or something. But then on Matt's side, he says they told him the date was going to be the middle of August. They had to move out by the middle of August. I think even in Lex's video, she actually says that there was an end date too. So anyway, they both use the same like text messages. But Lex's text messages was like a little cut off, and then Matt shows like the whole thing. And it turns out that the whole text shows that they moved out voluntarily. Like when Jim made the group chat August 9th and told him, hey, and asked them like when they were going to move out, Lex and Rav said to them, like through that text, we'd hate to stay and like be a burden any longer, so we'll just move out on our own. And they said, okay. So they move out on their own. So they weren't kicked out. They weren't kicked out. Then, so they weren't kicked out. But before, like Matt even like offers her like a different place to stay because they didn't want her staying at the office anymore temporarily. So that's why he offered to buy her like another place so they could just live at another apartment-ish place for about like for several months. And then she declined that. That happened. Then, while she's living at the Supermega place, Lex on her side complained that the Supermega place was like really dirty and there's like maggot infested pizza boxes everywhere and like trash everywhere. And she's complaining about having to clean up the office while she's living there. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out that there were texts from Ryan complaining to them about how much of a mess they were making at the office. Because it turns out that Lex and Rav were the ones that were kind of trashing up the place because they were living there. So it turns out they trashed up the place. And so that's why they don't want them living at the Super Megaplex anymore. So it also shows that Super Mega was kind of just talking to them like the whole time about like different things. So the whole like we never talked, we were ignored, and then made homeless, that was kind of like just wrong, it turns out. So shame. It also turns out that she could have drove him back to Tennessee at any time because that's what she did in the end anyway. They had like a Jeep, and they could have just.
I mean,
drove,
to be fair,
back.
that's a fucking far drive though. That's like multiple days of driving.
Yeah, it's a far drive, but actually, when they were staying at the place, they told him the end date was mid-August, right?
The end date was mid.
And then I told you on Lex's story that they went on a road trip about a month-ish before that end date happened. So anyway, the truth of the matter is she could have just drove out at any time. It was a long drive, but it could have been possible. To me, it came across that this homeless thing was just not true. Because in my eyes, right, if your friend is giving you a place to stay for a long time in an expensive area like LA, like 3 months, and it just comes across to me as like ungrateful, like you complain about like the mess that you made and how much you have to clean it up. And I don't know, it's just weird to me that this whole thing happened. So anyway, Matt thought his relationship was still good, right? Because obviously he's like housing them. And so he went to Creator Clash 2. And apparently they kept texting each other like positive things throughout this whole thing. Right? This whole chunk of time, he shows text messages between them where they're like, they just have like friendly texts. Like, hey, guess who's hanging out around the place? I'll invite you out to this party. You want to party up? And he's like, yeah, sure. Let's go to a party. So all of these like things, that's why he thinks this like relationship's really good. And then after Lex finds out Leighton was fired, everything just, they go like radio silent. They like don't text each other anymore. Yeah. So that happened. Now we can talk about Leighton from Matt's side. So Matt thinks Leighton is running conspiracy to cancel Supermega because he's a disgruntled ex-employee. And it turns out it's kind of all like the dots are kind of aligned there for it, and they kind of like rat themselves out with this thing. So technically it's not really like a conspiracy in the sense that it's like 500 IQ or whatever. But basically Lex and Layton and all their friend group, so Lex, Layton, Ethan, and Nick is not green. They all basically come together and they're like, okay, so Lex, you had this really, like, Supermega handled your situation really badly. You come out with your video first, and then we'll each come out with our own video after that, canceling Supermega. And I think Layton was the one who was like, yeah, this is great. Let's do that. So it wasn't like a super conspiracy. It's just like let's just all cancel them at the same time here.
Right.
Yeah. So turns out Matt says the reason why Layton was fired was because he was performing poorly. Like he was just bad at his job, and he had a bunch of emotional outbursts at the office and were causing problems. And it turns out that he shows texts of Layton offering to leave Supermega on his own because of how badly Layton knows he's like messing up and stuff and it's causing problems. So he offers to leave Supermega. So then, he gets laid off, and he was triggered that they fired him. So he like went around and just kept shit talking them basically wherever he went. You remember when Layton claimed that he had signed an NDA to get a severance package? Well, it turns out that Layton is considered an at-will employment, which means they don't need to give him a severance package at all. So he could be fired.
Hold on real quick. Was he aware of this? That's like one of those things.
Yes.
Like, I didn't know all of the things about my job when I quit and whatnot, and like what things I have to do because when I quit.
They talked. Well, when he was fired, they had like a meeting with him, right? And they told him how everything was going to go down and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think at that point he knew, what was happening. So he's at will employment, which meant he could be fired for any reason at any time without severance. Like they don't need to legally pay him severance. But then they felt bad for him. So they contacted an employment lawyer to give him a severance package. So the lawyer was to give him a severance package. And the severance package was 2 months of pay per year that Layton worked there, instead of the regular 1 month per pay. So they made a bigger severance package and they gave it to him. And it was about $12,000. And they said that he was really angry because he thought that wasn't a lot of money. So he stormed off. Like he signed the papers and then he just like stormed off from the office. So yeah. And then also on Layton's stream, he complains about how low the severance package was and stuff. So it turns out he didn't sign an NDA. Well, he wasn't forced to sign an NDA. He signed a severance package that they didn't have to give him. Right. So all of this was proven. Like, anyway. Then for the conspiracy, it was hilarious because I think someone from Layton's Discord leaked a bunch of screenshots of the plans of how to cancel Supermega, like which video should be released first and how it's going to happen. And they were like gathering people who had bad stories about like Supermega and stuff. And they were going to like gather all this evidence and just drop it in this cancellation video. So anyway, those screenshots were leaked to Matt, so he knew that this was going to happen, like eventually. He had a bunch of for like the whole like Layton being made fun of, like homophobic jokes and stuff in the office. He says that that Layton was like okay with the situation. Shows a bunch of texts where they were asking him like, hey, let me know if any of these jokes are gonna like trigger you and stuff, and we'll just stop it like immediately. And then Layton was like, nah, dude, it's hilarious. Like he like rock on, do it. So yeah, and then that incident in the Drunk Simpsons one, where he was claimed to film him pee, it turns out that was a bit that they were all in on, and it was and I think it was suggested by Layton that they should do that because they were dressed as they were cosplaying the Simpsons, and I think Layton was Ned Flounders, and he was like, it'd be hilarious if we get a bit where we just catch Ned Flounders peeing. So that's why they did that bit. So anyway,
Now, is that a thing that's like in writing though, or is that just something that they said that he said, that type thing?
this is a he said she said, this specific one, yeah. But all the other things were,
I fucking hate
all the
how
other
much
ones were
of this
not
situation
true.
is he said she said bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
I hate, that's why I like the moment you told me they were back. I'm like, I don't want to fucking go through it again.
There is some he said she
Dude,
said here.
it's so fucking painfully
Yeah.
annoying how
So
much.
and then he
how
says,
much
you
of
know,
this is just
to prove that
rumor
Leighton was
shit.
okay with all the gay jokes, he shows like a bunch of clips where, you know, Leighton himself is the employee that walks into the podcast room and he's got his dick and balls out. So he's like, all right, so there it is. Yeah, so he plays like a clip where they're doing like the podcast. And then Leighton just like comes in from another room and he's just naked. So everyone was just like, whoa, you got your dick and balls right there, right out there. You want to join in on the podcast? So anyway, yeah. Anyway, yes, that was basically the whole thing. Yeah. So I'll say this at the end. All of it, most of it was proven to be untrue. The whole like cheating, the whole homophobic jokes at the office. They said that was a he said, she said. All the homophobic jokes and stuff, or like the saying slurs, toxic workplace environment. I think the only person who said that was Leighton, and that was after he was fired. And before he was shown like text that he was okay with all the jokes that happened at the workplace. So anyway, I don't doubt that that's probably what the workplace was like based off their videos. But if everyone in the office is okay with it, it's more of like a don't leak the group chat type of situation.
I mean,
they obviously all deny it. By the way, the man right say, yeah, we don't make those kind of jokes. It's we just deny it. Also, for the whole like making suicide jokes, they said that they don't do that either. They don't say that. And they also said that, you know, it's inappropriate for them to accuse us of this when they don't know who Daniel is. None of them know who Daniel is, by the way. None of these, like Leighton, none of them met Daniel or knew him. So, anyway.
Daniel. Back at it again.
Yeah, so the first person who actually brought up Daniel was Lex, saying like they joked about him. And then Matt says he never he remembers never talking about Daniel in front of his friends, like this particular friend group. So that's also he said, she said in terms of that. Anyway, yeah. So up to you to determine who's in the right or wrong here. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm leaning more toward Supermega's side, with just how, because there's a decent amount of things that were just proven to be wrong on like the other side against Supermega, and if 60% of what they say is lies, then like what's the chance the other 40% is also lies, right? Especially when it's he said, she said. I mean, obviously there's probably some things they say are true, but it's harder to believe when the rest of what you say is wrong or like not true.
Right, so, but then it's also like the things that are said that are true are like not small things and whatnot. Yeah, so I mean, it's like
in my opinion, I don't think they covered up the essay. They just handled it really poorly. So it wasn't a cover up, because the reason they like didn't make it public was because, you know, Lex didn't want him to make it public at the time, right? So that was the whole claim, was that, you know, they didn't make it, like she was saying, they didn't make it public, so they're trying to cover it up. And then they say, we didn't make it public because she wanted to keep it private. So it's like, I'm pretty sure that point was proven on Supermega's side, because she said herself, like earlier in her video, that she didn't want it to be public. So anyway, you'll have to watch the full Turkey Tom thing if you want like the exact like text messages to see and stuff, and her claims or whatever. I mean, what they did was they messed up like big time, in my opinion, like handling this thing. But I don't think that they're bad people. I think they made a mistake. I think they can improve on that and
think
won't
they
do
should
that.
be
And won't
burned
do
at
that in the
stake.
future. At least I like to believe that. Maybe I'm a bit naive.
You are.
But it's good to know that some people that I've watched, aren't like terrible, horrible people that would do this on purpose. I know they messed up though. So, Anyway though, their new music video came out. It's pretty funny. You should go watch it after you watch the Turkey Tom video.
So my opinions on this.
I mean, you don't have to care, by the way. I mean, you don't know any of these
No,
people. Really, so.
I mean it's a thing of like, I mean, I do know some of them unintentionally.
You do. Oh, you mean like
Nick is not
Ethan?
green enough.
Okay, so after all this came out, after Turkey Tom's video, actually, like all their like Ethan, Nick, and a bunch of them made Nick made a bunch of response videos about it, but a bunch of Leighton and Ethan, I think, retracted a lot of their claims. Like they just said like, "Whoops, I got this wrong, and I'll take it back." So, and then I think they went silent for a while after that video. They might have gotten a lot of hate, and that was probably because of why they went silent. That's probably why. So I don't blame them. But yeah.
So where my opinions with this lie, again, it's you mentioned it earlier, and I didn't say anything at the moment, but it's like when you said when most of the people in the company are doing it, like, don't leak the group chat thing, dude. I wish I could say what the people at my company do, but who the fuck do I say it to? Type thing.
You don't say it. You don't say it to anyone.
But I should, because they are disgusting, horrible, monstrous people. I should out them. But how? To who? Fucking where?
I mean, you don't have
my
any,
HR is ran
department.
by the parents of the same people. So how am I supposed to like rat them out? I talk to the city. How? Fucking who do I go speak to? They all have connections to them, type shit. Like, it's a situation for me where it's like, I don't have the luxury of this being an internet company to say something type thing. So it's like,
that's true.
In my opinion, I want to be on the backing side of the people that like are saying these things where it's like, I've seen some similar shit with my company, like that type of shit. I'd love to say that. I can't, because I don't have that luxury of this being an internet company. I don't have people I can go to because of how tight knit this shit is. But then it's also like there are times they got caught, and it's like you were talking about the whole like 40% true, 60% in the air, and it's like, well, what do you believe? And it's like I'm not on either side in the situation because of how much like indifference.
I think there's a slight difference in the situation, because it's more like if you were like your coworkers and you basically didn't need to talk about it to anyone because you're just like your coworkers, right? So you have this whole group place and it doesn't affect anyone except the people who are there at that moment. Like those kinds of jokes, like being naked and whatever, saying slurs, which by the way are not proven. So I'll say allegedly saying it. Obviously we can speculate that, yeah, they probably do it.
Yeah, this isn't Oni Plays. We
we can speculate. Yeah, would they show each other's dick and balls and stuff? I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, sure. But it's more of a situation like this person was totally in on it. Like this person was this kind of person. And then the only reason why he's speaking out about it is because he was fired and he doesn't like those people. But he's not like he's changed from it. He's just trying to profit off of the shock value to people like you who try to like, to people like you who don't like this kind of thing and are experiencing like a suffering because your workplace is like that. Right. In my opinion, I don't think Leighton like actually was uncomfortable or like hated these kinds of jokes when he was working there. But after he got fired, he just says that like, okay, well, at the time I didn't like it because now I don't like them. Which I mean, I don't know. To me, these whole like jokes that they're making, they're like a immature, like high school boys locker room kind of jokes. And I might be just like indifferent to it because I'm kind of like that too. Not to that extent where I like to show my boys the dick and balls, or say slurs in front of them. But I think it's kind of funny. Maybe if they caught a glimpse of my balls, like we'd laugh it off.
I'd use my brain to blow them up.
I mean, we laugh it
Blows up
off.
balls
So I mean,
with my
I personally
mind.
relate to it.
My fucking
But
balls.
I also understand if you're not the type, if this kind of humor is offensive toward you, if you think it's super problematic, shouldn't be done. Yeah, that's fine. I totally understand that.
It's super problematic and shouldn't be done.
Okay, James. Well, how about you're
Just immediately don't even like hold to your own beliefs. Just immediately turn like
I
a turn
immediately
heel.
like I'd be like, well, you know what, James? How about you go fuck yourself? But yeah, I
Okay, well,
totally
don't
understand.
care.
I totally understand that I'm holding this gun pointed at you and I'm driving my finger into the trigger.
Slowly pressing further and further back.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a long one. James, do you want to say anything before?
Like on my own stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
finished saying what I wanted to
Here,
say
I'll,
about
I'll,
it.
I'll speed run it because I didn't get to talk about this, but I told you
Okay.
about the Kanye West picture. Okay, so I went back to I'm
Kanye
leaning,
West
I'm leaning back
picture.
in my chair, so I'm sorry if my audio is weird.
It's
I,
fine.
I got relaxed to listen to that one because I was like, I don't have anything to say, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to tune
I
out,
mean,
but I'm just gonna
I just wanted
I'm
to
gonna be
get that off my
comfortable.
chest. You know.
So I went back to work last week, and that meant I had to get drug tested my first day. I went and got drug tested. It was weird because I had to sit in a lobby for like 20 minutes filling out a survey on my phone that was about to die.
Mm.
And if I couldn't fill out the survey, I couldn't get drug tested. But yeah, filling this out, I had to do a lot of stupid information type stuff. Continuously say, no, I'm not married. No, I'm not married. No, I'm not married on a lot of certificates.
But are you married, James?
I am actually. I lied.
You're like,
Fucking
yes,
got
but
him.
they don't have
Got
to.
him. Got
Yes,
him.
but they wouldn't like my boyfriend. They wouldn't like my husband.
Probably not. Um, but at the drug testing place, they walk me through like several different hallways to get back to the area where you have to go pee into the cup and everything.
Yeah.
And going back there, I'm walking, and it's a lot of like hallways to get there. And I finally get back there. You know, I've stood in the same exact spot like 5 times now,
Hmm.
doing the same drug test again and again. And so I'm like, I know the fucking deal. I open the cabinet, put my stuff in it immediately because you're not allowed to take anything in the bathroom with you. I take the cup, I go in, and I close the door and I pause because I realize I didn't look at the door when I closed it, but when I closed it out of the corner of my eye, I saw something, JD. I
Yeah.
saw a
What'd you
man.
see?
I
You
saw
saw a
this picture
man?
of Kanye taped to the door.
What?
And I need you to put this in the podcast episode, by the way, because like I can't express enough. This is
Oh
my
my God.
recreation of it. I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't take a picture of it. But this is my recreation of the image I saw behind me in the bathroom.
Okay, let me just mark down this time. 20. Let's say 20. Put picture of Kanye in. Sorry,
I
of
can't,
Ye in.
express enough how fucking weird it was to just like close the door and like go to pee and
It's
then
just
stopping.
a picture of Kanye in like a gray t-shirt against a white background. He's holding a notebook and it says "Give us a 10" on it with a smirking face at the bottom.
Just- Dude, I close the door, I go to pee, and I just pause, and I slowly turn my head to look at this, and it's a big
What?
picture. It's a printed out piece of paper that they taped to the door, and they wrote, and it's sharpied on. So the "Give us a 10" in the smirk is sharpied onto it.
Oh,
That's not the original
so
image.
that's not part of the original image.
No, I don't know what the original image is, but it was a blank like piece of notebook, and and I just started peeing, but every now and then I just kept turning around and just he was there. I'm gonna be honest, it took me a minute to fill up half the cup
Yeah, it's
because I was
'cause
so
it's
caught off
hard.
guard.
It's hard to go number one when you've got Ye staring into your soul.
It caught me off guard so hard I couldn't use the bathroom. I was just like, I wasn't terrified, but I was like frozen solid. So then,
Jesus.
I go out, I give the cup to the girl, and then she pours into these 2 tubes. By the way, she has me write my information on it, which was kind of annoying because it's like, I feel like you just didn't like want to handle it, which is weird because I've never had to write my information on it before.
Yeah.
But sure.
And then as I'm leaving, by the way, it takes it like I finish writing this stuff and I'm like, okay, so you want me to like look through any of the other information? And she just doesn't say anything, and I'm like standing there for a whole minute, and then she like awkwardly turns around and she's like, "You can go now."
Yeah,
As if I was
just
supposed to
go,
know.
just leave.
But anyways, I grab my stuff out of the drawer, and as I'm leaving, JD, I told you about the several hallways I had to go through.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what picture was taped up on every like wall and like pillar on my way back?
Was it that yay picture? Give us a 10?
Yes. Every single time it was a different way of being written, give us a 10, which is why I knew they hand wrote every single one.
Wow.
Dude, there was like
What does give us a 10
9 of
mean?
them. I don't know. I don't know, but there were so many pictures and they were taped on the walls, and I'm like, you genuinely would not notice this walking into the building, but walking out is when you do, because it's like how it's taped to the walls, like it's hidden until you're on your way back. And it's like everywhere. Dude, it was everywhere. Dude, it was so fucking weird. But yeah, so from there, my work week started with me being jack of all trades. I was cleaning offices, which is how I got this luxurious picture of my Taco Bell on a desk.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Living the high life. That is not my office. It's just one I clean and I eat it every now and then because nobody uses it.
Aha.
That office was completely filled with shit, and I had to clean all of it and clear it all out, dude. It took me 2 days.
I mean, hey, just a shame, man.
From there, I was then in charge of filing, and I had to file like a couple thousand documents. But here's the thing, and this is what pisses me off. We only had one filing cabinet I could use. So it's like I got to put what I could in the one cabinet, and then I had to organize the rest into boxes. But real quick, with these pictures I'm sending you, I organized them all in the way that they are in the pictures that I'm sending. So they're all facing. So by the way, how they wanted me to do it is there are 4 rows to this cabinet. Starting from the bottom, I put the very newest document into it, going from right to left and going up. So that's how I had to do it. There are over like a couple thousand documents there that I had to go through bit by bit to make sure the numbers matched up.
It was perfect.
There's no organization to the boxes.
That's
They were
good.
all in originally. And so I do this. I fully put them all into this filing cabinet in the order they asked for and everything. And then hi Willie, sorry, my dog is like trying to climb on me. So he's whining. But I fully do this, and then my boss walks up and he's like, "Oh, I'd been doing this for 3 days straight. Oh."
I've been doing this for you straight in parentheses.
And he goes, "Oh, that's not how I wanted them."
Now, what would you say he would say? You'd be like, ah, man. That was it, right?
Dude, there was an hour left of the workday, and I was like, I can spend this hour sorting out the rest of the files that are left in these boxes before we get a new filing cabinet for me to put them all in. That way it's organized, and I don't have to organize it all. I can just put them from the boxes into the filing cabinet and be done with it like an hour. And I was like, it'll be glorious. It'll be glorious. And he walks, he's like, ooh, oh man, that's not how I wanted it. I ask him what he means. He wanted every single one of those in there in that order, but going the other way because if he has to look through it that way, JD, he'd be too close to the wall. I'm not mentioning the fact I had to move the filing cabinets. There were 3 filing cabinets.
I know you turned at him. You were like, okay, and you had this little the same smirk on your face as that Kanye drawing. I know you had the same little smile you gave your boss. You said, okay.
By the way, I wanted to draw that picture of Kanye holding the notebook the same way I drew that guy that was stalking me in the store. I wanted to draw that, but I just did not have the energy or time to do it. But I did do that. I did go, Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Uh, dude, I'm laughing. I had to move these 3 filing. By the way, I had to move all the boxes off the top of them. There was like 20 boxes on top of them, all filled with papers. They were not light. My, I was physically destroyed by the
They
end of
were
this
not
week.
light.
Literally, when we recorded the crap shoot special, my legs were in so much pain.
Hmm.
I did not want to be standing up while recording it. I, um,
Well, James,
oh
it's
god.
great to hear about your work escapades.
And then this week I learned that I'm gonna be a bit quiet about this. There was a dildo war.
You're actually louder than you were talking about before because you're
I'm being
closer
quiet
to
in
it.
my
Okay.
own room. So
Okay.
for the listeners, there was a dildo war.
Well, how? Can I ask the
This
details about that?
this happened in the time I was gone. So what happened was apparently, supposedly, they were finding dildos on the side of the road,
Uh
and
huh.
then bringing them back to work,
Oh,
and
so it was
leaving them
just some
places.
random
It's
dildos.
just random. They didn't
Just
belong to
random.
the employees at all.
Okay.
The gay
It just
straight
seemed a
men
little
in the world.
strange to me that you just be on the side of the road like you just.
No. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal.
I don't think I'm just
JD,
saying. I've just never seen. I've been
it's
out there a
normal.
while. I touch grass and I've never seen
No,
them at the side of the
you're
road.
overthinking it. You're overthinking it. You're making it too complex.
Okay,
It's simple.
I'm sorry.
Don't
I'm
make an
sorry.
anthill out of a molehill.
It's my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. It is your bad. You work for the CCP?
Maybe. Why? What's it to you?
No reason. No reason. You're Singaporean.
No, yeah, I'm just messing with you. I know you're Singaporean.
That would be horrible if he ended that. If that senator ended it going, "I'm just fucking with you. I know you're Singaporean." Yeah, gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
That's what
Be
you
his
say
exact
because
reaction.
they're just strangers. If you're not friends, it's just okay.
That would be his exact reaction too in the courtroom.
No, you know what his reaction to be? He'd give the senator a little smirk and he'd be like, okay.
Dude, somebody's car alarm is going off because how windy it is outside right now.
Yeah, I can see the trees they're loving it out there.
Fucking pine trees are all like blowing sideways.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like leaving these at the workplace in like jars and shit.
Okay.
There's one still in the bathroom. I've learned.
All right. Did you go look at it?
I
you go
did,
touch it?
and I also looked up at the ceiling and saw a giant hole in the ceiling. And when I asked about it, I was told, "Oh yeah, Mike's accident prone." And I didn't know what this meant, and I thought they were talking about a different guy named Mike. Here's a problem with my workplace: everybody has the same name. There are at least two people who have the same name, and it doesn't matter who.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter
I don't
who.
like. No, it doesn't. Because I'll say, yeah, Mike, and they'll be like, yeah, Mike, and I'll be thinking, this is Mike Blank, and they're like, no, Mike Blank, and I'm like, who the fuck is Mike Blank? Who's that? I only know this one.
It's Mike Hawk.
Kill yourself. So
Okay.
God, yeah, no, I had a very visceral reaction, by the way, the other day because classic crew member Blake said a classic Blake thing, and I like my jaw locked up, and like I just heard like white noise as I just stared at some
Your
signs.
jaw locks, your fists clench, your knuckles are white.
I genuinely. I told you this. I don't think we got it on the episode because we didn't record after the first week. But I felt so genuinely unhappy and like depressed at the end of my first week, and I don't feel like
more. You go ahead.
you were rubbing your little greedy hands together. You're like, content's coming,
I was doing that villain hand rub thing.
Eric Bador hand rub.
Sweet content that I won't be able to monetize.
Patreon exclusive.
Membership only.
Better buy your makeshift shirts. But yeah, I felt so genuinely unhappy after the first week, and then Blake said that on Friday this week, and like when I got in my car, I kind of like sat there for a second staring off into space, and I realized I've actually become numb to so much shit.
Mhm.
I might just stop being emotional in
You
general.
might just lose it.
Uvalde too, more like
You'll become literally me, Ryan Gosling, in 20.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a moment where like everything was just like kind of locked up physically. Oh god, dude, like because I was like remembering, oh yeah, I remember when I heard Chris say a homophobic thing and how I felt because I was so tired of hearing it and just not saying anything and just trying to let it pass so I could just go on with my work. These people won't let me work because they just want to say this dumb shit. I had that repeated moment when I heard Blake say it, and I'm holding this piece of metal in my hand and I'm just thinking I could walk up to him. I could just
Whoa.
do that and no one will
James,
stop me because no one's
let's-
going to see it coming.
James, you gotta
James
calm
is a
down.
quiet
Here.
guy.
James, if you do that
don't
and
need
you
to.
get if you do that and you get
I think I need
arrested,
to take their hands in my. I think I need to take their head in my hands, and I need to just crush.
Dude,
I
if you-
need to squeeze until there's no
get
pulp left.
arrested,
In it. I think
you
I
won't
just
be
need
able to come to the crapshoot and talk about it, man.
Yeah, you're right.
You won't be able to come to the crapshoot if you get arrested for doing that.
This is
Dude.
my Homer Simpson's "do it for her" moment, but it's "do it for crapshoot."
Crapshoot is your character arc, okay, James? Just keep that
What
in
is
mind.
my character arc? Honey, what is my what is my character arc? Crapshoot. That's the voice of Crapshoot. I am your character arc.
It's just a distorted demonic voice.
I am your character arc. I oh god, I inhaled too hard.
Well, anything else you want to add to that, James?
I
Yeah, take a second. Just take a second.
I have a new coworker.
Oh, cool.
His name is Eddie, and
Sounds like a nice
how
guy.
I was introduced, he surprisingly so far is, how I was introduced to him is that Eddie is called the Nazi Stomper because he literally used to go around beating up neo-Nazis for fun.
It's
I mean,
starting to turn in my head the reason why you would join your workplace.
I you know what? I think I might find fun here. My favorite thing so far is that he like whenever somebody says shit.
So
like,
he's a violent criminal, you say?
No, he's never been arrested.
You're right. He's just violent.
No, yeah. But it's good because he's violent
sounds
towards the
pretty
people
funny,
I
though.
hate. He's violent towards the people I hate, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I mean, I'd hope we all would hate Nazis. Unless you're Israel.
Rubs hand in villainous.
Again, Israel. All right.
You done, James? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. We can
Thank
cut it
you
there.
for joining
I'll talk about
us,
the rest
listening
tomorrow.
to us here. If you made it all to the way to the end, you should like, subscribe. We do this every Sunday. Sunday is when they come out. If you like James, his stuff is in the description. You can go check him out there. And that'll be it for me. James, bring us out.
So I reached 60 subscribers on or followers on Twitch today, and then one of them was a